I just finished Sara Landon's book, The 15 Success Principles for Self-Realization, Channeled Wisdom to Create Your Reality and Expand Your Perspective. And as I was reading this, I was having so many epiphanies, and I had already read it. And so the second time around, it was even better, filled with more wisdom and knowledge that I overlooked the first time reading it. And today, I want to share the top 5 success principles that change the way that I see my reality and myself. The first principle that I want to focus on is success principle number 4. What you focus on and the meaning you give it is what creates your reality. Your inner state is a mirror of your external world. And I used to believe that the world was out to get me, that I couldn't trust anyone. And so therefore, I found and attracted experiences like that because that's what my inner beliefs were. And so once I learned to shift those inner beliefs within me, because you can choose, right? You can choose not to subscribe to a certain belief that doesn't align with you, that you don't prefer. And so of course, I don't prefer to believe that the world is out to get me because I found some pretty bad experiences that I don't prefer to have ever again. And so I feel like a lot of people feel like that and they feel powerless. I used to feel like a victim. I used to believe that these external things were happening to me. These people were doing these things to me, and I had no power. But I realized that that was all happening for me, and the contrast needed to happen so that I could know what I do want, and so that I could step into this level of awareness where I understand that my beliefs, my perception, my assumption about the world, my internal state mirrors my external reality. And so it's very important not to label other people, right? If you're labeling that person a narcissist or an avoidant, they're going to mirror back to you traits of being a narcissist or being avoidant because that is your belief about that person. And so if you can see that person as the healed version of them, as the person of them who is unconditional love, because I believe at our core, we are all unconditional love because that is what God is, right? And we all have the divine, that infinite intelligence source God within us. So therefore, we are all unconditional love. And so if we're not acting from a place of unconditional love, then we're acting from a place of unconsciousness, ego, or the pain body. And that comes from that person's own suffering, the trauma, the things that they had to go through, societal norms and conditioning and programming about our beliefs and our assumptions about the world and those kinds of things. And so it's important to realize when someone is kind of not in alignment with unconditional love because they're acting from a place of their pain body or unconsciousness, but to forgive them for they know not what they do because they're behaving the best that they can with the current consciousness that they had at that moment in time. And often the time we hold on to stories of resentment or this person did that thing to me and I'm never going to forgive them. And really, when you hold on to resentment, you're withholding love from yourself. And so it's important to forgive other people for their unconsciousness because it's for you. It's to allow more unconditional love in for you. And often the times you will find that your relationship dynamic with that person will entirely change and it will be one that you prefer. And another very empowering tool to use is to focus on the positive aspects of that person. Don't focus on the negative things that they're doing. Oh, they don't clean up after themselves. They chew with their mouth open, right? Don't focus on the negative qualities and traits of that person because you're attracting more like into your experience. But if you focus on the positive aspects of that person, the positive qualities and traits, the positive things that they bring into your life, you're attracting more positive experiences into your life. You can't control other people, but you can control your perception, your beliefs, your assumptions about them. Say someone that a part of your family ended up getting cancer. Instead of focusing on the fact that they have cancer and feeding into the fear of, oh my God, they're going to die, and you could focus on seeing them as that healed version of them who is living their best life, who is healed, who is vacationing, who doesn't have that cancer anymore, and hold that vision in your reality. And that's where your power lies, with your own beliefs, assumption, and perceptions and thoughts about that person. But a lot of times we try to control other people in the 3D, and no one likes to be controlled, right? It's very repelling energy. So from this moment on, choose to be a conscious creator of your reality, because you are creating your reality whether you're aware of it or not. But now that you have that awareness, you have the ability to choose what you prefer rather than choosing what you don't prefer, right? You can choose to focus on the worst case scenario and realize that's what you're attracting, more of a negative, worst case scenario, fear-based experience, or you can choose to focus on the positive aspects of whatever experience and the positive aspects of everything in your life, and you're naturally attracting more positive experiences to you. The next principle I want to go over is number 5. Everything is always happening for you, not to you. She says it might take some time to see the gifts that came from what appeared to be an unwanted or unfortunate situation. Ask yourself, is it possible that something good could come from this? Is it possible there could be a gift in all of this? When you start to focus on why it is happening for you, you begin to uncover many potentials and possibilities. Growing up, especially during those teenage years and early years as a child, I've kind of had this epiphany about how we have to experience lots of contrast growing up so that we can know what we prefer for ourselves. And so that's why it may be more challenging growing up, because you're experiencing a lot of things coming at you and a lot of choices to decide what you align with, right? What's best for you. And sometimes we're put in certain families with certain belief systems that are pushed onto us. And it's like we're learning, though, from those experiences, unwanted or wanted, that what I prefer, right? And so all of those experiences growing up, they were all happening for me and for my highest good, so that I could know what I do prefer. And so that I could eventually be empowered to the power within me and this knowledge that where I put my attention is where I put my energy. And so when I'm focused on negative stuff and negative feelings, I'm attracting more negativity into my life. And so I'm kind of in a loop of negativity. But when I focus on the positive aspects of my life, it makes me feel better, and I start attracting positive experiences into my life. And so that contrast growing up gave me the wisdom I now have and the awareness that I have now to make the choice to choose the positive over the negative, because our connection to Source always wants the positive thing for us, always is focused on that. And so if we are focused on the negative, we aren't in alignment with God or Source, because God or Source wants the best for us. They want the best outcome for us. They want what would make us joyous and excited and happy and fulfilling our life purpose and filled with unconditional love. And so when we focus on the negative, we are straying from unconditional love and the divine and God, Source, whatever you want to call it. And when you're working in tandem, you are both focused on the positive thoughts and the positive outcomes, and therefore you're living a more meaningful life. You're living heaven on earth. You're acting on your highest excitements. And of course, there's going to be challenges and more contrasts that come into play so that you can choose, again, to focus on what you prefer and know that you don't prefer that. She says one of her favorite quotes from Steve Jobs is, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will connect in your future." And I really resonate with this quote because when I was younger, I couldn't see it, right? I was just like, this sucks. I don't want to be here. But now looking back, I see why everything had to happen in the way that it happened for my highest growth, so that I could get to this level of awareness, so that I could start being a conscious creator of my reality and empower other people to that same power within them to be conscious creators of their own reality and create meaningful lives and a life worth living. And to know that there's unlimited amount of abundance. Everyone can live their dream life. There is no competition. Everyone can have exactly what it is that they desire. But a lot of the times we have to work on our limiting beliefs around that. We kind of grow up and some of us have scarcity wounds around financial wealth. And we believe that it's hard to make a lot of money, that it takes a long time to make a lot of money. And it doesn't. That's a limiting belief. You could make $1 million in a day. Ooh. Did you have some resistance to that? Because that shows you where you may need to do a little work on your limiting beliefs, right? But it's okay to have that epiphany and be aware of that because it gives you that awareness to change that, right? Is that a belief that I want to subscribe to? Is it an empowering belief, or is it not something that serves me? Is it not something that is beneficial for me anymore, right? The council said, "Find some way in this day to share your gift, to share your message, to do what it is that you feel inspired to do, without making this a big obstacle. In this day, Source can deliver someone whose entire life could be transformed for the better once they meet you and hear your story." So I've been wanting to read more books, and so I decided to go live and read some books and share kind of my takeaways as I go through the book and highlight some stuff that stands out to me. And I go live on TikTok, and I have a lot of good people coming in with discussions about their own epiphanies and asking questions. And a lot of people have said that me sharing my story and explaining these things in a way that I understand helps them understand it better, and they have major epiphanies for themselves, and it really empowers them to that power within them. So by me showing up and acting on my highest excitement of reading my book, because I love reading and I want to read more, and so I decided to share that with other people, and we can openly discuss, and it has a lot. I get a lot of feedback about people just really enjoying my content and what I have to share. And that feels amazing because I'm acting on my highest excitement, and it's also helping other people and empowering them to that same power within them. Sara says when you're feeling yourself asking, why is this happening to me? You're finding yourself in the bit of a victim mentality. Stop, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself these questions. Where am I giving my power away here? Who am I giving my power away to? What am I giving my power away to? In what way am I placing my own personal power somewhere out there? Maybe you're giving your power away to some limiting belief, an old story, a habit, addiction, or a person, or a partner, or your parents. It might be difficult in certain situations, like the death of a loved one, to see how it's happening for you. That's okay. Give yourself some time, but consider this. Is it possible in some way that someday, just maybe, there could be a gift in this for you or someone you love? I know when you're in those really unwanted situations, it can be hard to see, how is this happening for me and what is the gift in all of this? But now, being further away from those things growing up, I definitely see the gift and the suffering that I had to endure growing up, and why it all was happening for me and not to me. In any moment, you can shift your perspective of whatever is happening to know that in some way it's happening for you. You might avoid seriously unwanted circumstances or inspire the world when you begin to find your power, get clarity, and create your life the way you want it to be. And when you shift your perspective to focus on one that you prefer, that is what you're attracting, right? You're attracting more positivity into your life and positive experiences that are ones that you prefer. And so your power is within you, with your perceptions, your beliefs, your assumption, your thoughts, your words, your actions. Everything is happening for you and for your highest good, and out of all of this, only good things can come. The next success principle is all of your power is in the now moment. And this was a big lesson for me, that I kind of discovered the now moment through reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And it made me aware that I was always in the past. I was thinking of the worst things that happened to me, and I was bringing those experiences into my now, which I was reliving that experience of the horrific shit over and over and over and over again. I was literally creating my own hell. And there was anxiety, fear of the future, focusing always on the worst case scenario. And so I wasn't actually in the present moment. My mind was like always split between the future and the past, but never actually in the now. And so I was bringing the worst case scenarios into my now. I was attracting worst case scenarios, and I was also reliving the past. I was looping in the past. I was reliving in the now my past. So for years, I was stuck in the past, creating my own hell loop. And so when I had this major awareness to the power within me and in the now moment, I started focusing on the positive aspects of everything in my life. And there was a question from Joe Dispenza: if you could have anything that you want in your reality, because you were the creator of your reality, what would that look like, right? Start getting specific about what kind of job would be your dream job. What does your dream home look like? Do you want to live in Hawaii? Where do you want to live? What kind of car do you want to drive? Where do you want to travel, right? If life could be infinite possibilities, what would you want? And get excited about that, right? Feel into that feeling, because when we want something, we want the feeling that it brings us. The more that I focused on taking action steps to get to that higher version of me, right? Doing it scared. What is the one thing that you could do today to embody that higher version of you? And for me, that's been posting 4 times a day. I've been doing that for months now, and I've seen so much growth, right? And I'm being consistent for myself, right? Your higher self would show up for yourself and being consistent, because I like creators who are consistent. Therefore, I want to be a consistent creator, because that's what my higher self would be doing. And so I started focusing on all of the positive aspects of my life, and therefore I started attracting more positive experiences into my reality and positive feelings, and literally creating heaven on earth by living in joy and acting on my highest excitement. A great tool to ground you into the present moment is tuning into your 5 senses. And you can do this while doing anything, right? When you're doing the dishes, you can move more intentionally as you place the plates and the forks where they're meant to be. And do you smell any dish soap? Or the feeling of the metal in your hand, and tuning into your 5 senses really brings you into the present moment and takes you out of the mind. And the more that you can practice that, staying present in whatever you're doing, the easier it gets. She says, you can set yourself free in any moment. Stop telling the story. Stop holding on to the belief. Stop repeating the limitation in your mind. If you think of a story of something that happened that makes you feel powerless, stop telling the story. Simply stop. Catch yourself. Be conscious of when you're unconsciously holding yourself in a story that denies yourself freedom, that denies your power, that denies love. A lot of people get attached to that old story because they feel like they are that old story. They are the things that have happened to them and that kind of thing. But is that making you into the victim? Are you getting the payoff of being like, I had this, and this happened to me? Because the more that you repeat that old story, the more you bring it into your current reality. And I did like 10 years of therapy, and I was repeating the old story, and so I was in my own hell loop of repeating that story and staying stuck in the victim mentality. And so stop telling the story, right? Focus on creating a life worth living. Let go of the things of the past because it doesn't serve you for your highest good. It just makes you feel like shit. I mean, at least for me. And so focus on the new story that you prefer of how you acquired your dream reality, right? You're living in unlimited abundance. You have unconditionally loving relationships in your life. You have your dream home. You're conscious and you're aware and you're focusing. You know what I mean? Get excited about your dream reality. Get excited about that life, right? Not your past, not that old story, because it doesn't serve you. But focus on what does. Focus on what you can create consciously right now. So how do you let go of those old thoughts or the fear-based thoughts? She says, stop, close your eyes, take 3 deep conscious breaths, move your awareness from your head and into your heart. Continue to breathe consciously and intentionally until you feel yourself come back into the moment and out of the story in your head. You can't focus on your breath and think at the same time because you're thinking of breathing, right? So it immediately stops the thoughts, the looping thoughts. And so focusing on your breath is a great way to stop those looping thoughts that don't serve you. One of Sara's favorite affirmations, and this is a good one, absolutely nothing could make me happier than I am right now. Did you feel any resistance to that? Were you like, oh, well, I know this and that and can make me happier? Right? But it's being content in this moment, right? You have everything you need right now. When we want something, we want the feeling that it brings us. So when you tune into that feeling, you already have everything you desire and it's on its way to you because you're holding that frequency of it already being done, right? Ask and it is given. Absolutely nothing could make me any happier than I am right now. Try to use this affirmation and see if you notice a difference in your life. I definitely have, and it's been interesting to see the results of using this affirmation. The next success principle is number 10. There is no need to make a big decision about anything. Allow all things to be choiceless. What does choiceless mean? It means that you did not make a big decision. It means that the solution, answer, outcome, next step was obvious, logical, and unfolded perfectly, and you likely made the choice without even knowing it and were 2, 3, maybe even 10 steps down your path before you even realize the decision has been made. In the book, they use this example of this girl who was asking the council for advice because she wanted to quit her job and start her own business. And she was feeding into the fear of it. She was overwhelmed by this big decision that she needed to make. And so the council suggested to let it be choiceless, let it unfold naturally. And because she allowed that, her department, they actually closed down her department and gave everyone 6 months of severance. And so she was able to receive 6 months of severance to build her business. Whereas if she just quit, she probably wouldn't have received that. And so an unexpected and way that she didn't even think about occurred and allowed for the unfolding of things. So in that example, it just really goes to show to not allow yourself to feed into the fear of this big decision and what do I do, but to allow it to be choiceless, allow it to unfold naturally. Even in time-pressed situations, the universe will deliver to you exactly what you need at the perfect time. The council said, this is a big decision, which means that it's either not the right time, the right way, other options or information are coming, or events are being orchestrated for you that will allow this to be choiceless when it's choiceless. Sometimes more information needs time to come in for you to kind of allow the situation to be choiceless. So it's important to be patient and having that faith over fear and trusting in the universe and in the timing of the things that are occurring in your life. Because the universe or God's source is working hard to make it happen for you in the background. And so you have to trust that it's already done, right? Ask and it is given. It's being delivered to you because you already asked. And when you feel that you don't feel any pressure, right? You feel pressure when you're like, oh my God, I got to make this big decision. What do I do? And it's getting late. It's getting to the deadline. What do I do? And if you can really allow yourself to surrender and trust the universe, trust God, that it's all unfolding perfectly, and affirm that to yourself, you're naturally attracting a positive experience because you're trusting in the universe. You're trusting in the divine intelligence that it's going to bring you exactly what you need at the perfect time. Don't make any big decisions. Don't believe in the lack and the limitation that everyone is telling me is happening. So if everyone is saying, oh, you're seeing on the news, oh, it's so hard to get a job right now, that's the lack and limitation that you're intaking, right? Are you choosing to subscribe to that belief or not? Because that's what's going to mirror in your external reality. But if you can be like, I don't believe that. I believe that it's easy for me to get a job. I know that the universe is lining up the perfect job for me right now. And having that faith and trust and knowing that that perfect job is being in alignment with you. So it's important to be aware of the lack and limitation that others, whether it be media, parents, other people, teachers, try to push onto you. Like a lot of people say that you should go to college to get a job that's going to make you money. Like, oh, why are you doing art? That won't make you any money. You're never going to be successful at making art. And that's a limiting belief, but those parents or those people or whatever projected that onto that person. And so they began to believe, oh, I'm not going to make any money doing art. And that's their belief. And so therefore, they're not making any money doing their art. And so when they know and learn and have that awareness to shift that belief, then that lack and limitation is gone. Then they're making money doing their passion, right? Acting on their highest excitement, doing their art and making money from that because they know that their art is worthy and deserving of that energy exchange of financial wealth because they worked on that limiting belief that was kind of programmed into them from society or parents or whatever. A student asked her, "Doesn't that mean I have no choice?" To me, it means exactly the opposite. You are so clearly guided, supported, there's so much clarity, all the energy is in it, all the light is present in the moment that there is no choice to make. but you always have a choice. It's an absolute, undeniable clarity. The energy and the light are clearly guiding you. And yes, there are lots of other potentials and possibilities, but in that moment, it is the highest divine expression of you. That feels very empowering, right? And there's this quote from the Matrix that's like, you're here to remember why you chose the things that you chose. And that one makes so much sense for me, because he's like, well, how do I have free will if you already knew what I'm going to choose? Because you're here to remember why you chose the decisions you made. And so as I'm remembering, oh, that's why my soul made that choice, it's like, it makes so much sense. And a lot of it was to give me a more meaningful life, right? To create a conscious life that is a life worth living, my dream reality, and that all of that is possible. And that also empowering other people to that same power within them. Because to me, there's no bigger purpose than that for me, is empowering other people to that same power within them, to help them and show them and how to create a conscious life so that they too can create heaven on earth for themselves, and that it's possible. Because a lot of people are still stuck in and not wanting to be here. And I used to be like that. I used to feel that way. I didn't want to be here at all. And so I was given this gift. It's amazing. Like, I'm so grateful for the awareness that I have so that I can too help other people who struggle with that and empower them to that power within them, right? All the answers they seek are within them so that they can create a meaningful and purposeful and conscious life, a life worth living. The quality of your life is equal to your level of consciousness. It is especially important to stay in a higher level of consciousness when everyone else around you is in lack and limitation or worried about a particular deadline. It's important to learn how to not allow external things to negatively impact you and your vibration, right? Because we can choose how we feel, and we can choose to let other people or external things to negatively impact us, or we can choose to not. It definitely takes practice, but it is very empowering once you learn how to kind of do that. And when you're embodying unconditional love, you're living in joy, you're acting on your highest excitement, and you're healing yourself, right? When you heal yourself, you heal the world. And that energy of embodying unconditional love and being at that high frequency is magnetic, it's attractive, and it actually helps others. Because you are embodying unconditional love, even when other people are in lack and limitation, or they're behaving from their pain body. By you unconditionally loving that person in the now and just holding space for them, that's helping them heal too. By you embodying that unconditional love, you are helping others heal too. And the last success principle is success principle number 15. As you align to a higher level of consciousness, your well-being and your abundance are assured. An affirmation that she loves to use is galore, galore, I have everything I need and more. Galore, galore, I have everything I need and more. Galore, galore, I have everything I need and more. And by using this affirmation, she had this realization. She may have not had everything she thought she wanted at that moment, but she did have everything she needed and more. And when you know that when you want something, you want the feeling it brings to you, and you can tune into that feeling, it's like you're drawing that experience to you anyway, but it's like you already have it in the now anyway. So you're not in the lack of it, right? Because you already have it. And so that's also a very empowering tool and method to use to already feel into that and know that it's also attracting that experience to you even quicker the more that you stay in that feeling of already having it. Being in a state of pure love is your natural, innate, inherent state of being. You have learned how to lower your consciousness. And so she said this, and it was like a major epiphany for me in a different way, a different viewpoint to look at it, right? Because everyone's like, raise your consciousness. But if you're not from a place of pure love, you're lowering your consciousness, right? And so here we go. So instead of worrying about how to raise your vibration, raise your frequency, it might be easier to consciously, lovingly observe the ways that you're lowering your vibration, your consciousness, and your frequency. Most people are completely unaware of their own unconscious, habitual ways of thinking that lower their consciousness and vibration. These statements are unconscious habits that are often passed down and learned in childhood in the educational system from people you are associated with as you go through your life. It's not a conspiracy, truly. Unknowingly, we are often taught to go against our own natural state of being. A great tool that I use for this is the emotional guidance scale from Abraham Hicks. And at the top is that pure love, that unconditional love, joy, freedom. And at the bottom is fear, stress, anxiety, anger, hatred. And so you can kind of tell, checking in with yourself, am I out of alignment? Do I feel that I am operating from a place of overwhelmment or fear or anger right now? And it's important to learn how to practice that, right? Practice tuning into your body and asking, how am I feeling right now? And if you're feeling overwhelmed, okay, well, why am I feeling overwhelmed right now? Because I have to film this video and yada, yada, yada. But then shifting the narrative, but I get to film this video, and filming this video could help somebody else. And then I'm like excited about filming the video, and that's higher up on the scale. And sometimes, you're angry and talking about it, talking through it with yourself, checking in with it doesn't work. Right? And so maybe you need to go punch a punching bag or punch a pillow or scream into a pillow or do acting on your highest excitement, right? What would bring you joy in this moment? That is the quickest way to raise your vibration back up to that pure love, is through acting on your highest excitement. What would bring me joy in this moment? And then go do that thing. These are just the 5 principles that really stood out to me the most, but there's so much more in this book, and I highly recommend checking it out. I have a whole list of the Conscious Creator books that I read, and the link in my bio. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. I have linked this book on it. I highly recommend it if you're interested in being a conscious creator of your reality.